We're on now.
All right, we want to go? Okay. All right, it being 6 o'clock, call this meeting of Chelmsford School Committee to order. Can we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm gonna be at the door for Richie.
Thank you. This meeting is being live streamed by Chelmsford Telemedia and posted to the CPS website for interested community members to access and watch. In-person public participation will be taking place tonight in accordance with the Chelmsford School Committee Public Participation Policy. Anyone speaking tonight during the public input portion of this meeting is notified the superintendent's office of the desire to speak and been provided with these guidelines. Upon request, written comments received no later than 12 p.m. on the day of this meeting will also be read and made part of the record during the second public comment session. Welcome to this meeting of the Chelmsford School Committee. First order of business is to approve our minutes for our meeting on December 16th.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting from December 16th, 2025. Susan.
Second.
We have.
I was not at that
Right.
meeting, so.
Oh, okay. All right. So we have a motion, a second. Any corrections? Do we have to do roll call because of the?
You do.
Okay. All right. So we'll have to do a roll call on this. So John,
Aye.
Diana,
Aye.
myself, I, and you weren't here?
I guess I have to abstain. I was not at the meeting.
Okay, so abstention. Okay, so 3-0. Okay. All right, next up, we have our Chelmsford High School representatives. So kick it
Well,
off.
I hope everyone had a good vacation. I sure did. It was long, but not as long as we wanted
We're
to.
happy you're back too, don't worry.
Last weekend, the CHS wrestling team, along with the Chelmsford Boosters, hosted the Bruce Rich Invitational. This two-day tournament, high school being on the first day and youth being on the second day, was a large success, raising lots of money for the wrestling team. Thank you to all who volunteered. Looking ahead, January 13th, students have a half day. There's no school on Monday, the 19th for Martin Luther King Day, and there will be midterm exams starting on Wednesday, January 21st, and going to Friday, January 23rd. And tomorrow, on Wednesday, there's a big wrestling meet. Everyone should go. It's the home opener versus Tewksbury.
All right, good luck.
To continue off, nothing too much going on. But the week before break, members of the Chelmsford High School National English Honor Society volunteered to read at Southrow Elementary School. And to start off the new year with new students of the month, students receiving this recognition were Jade Boyer, Aaron Mamola from Emerson House, Lucy Franklard and Ashka Pandy from Hawthorne House, and Jackson Sholensky and Ann Magny from Whittier House. And to wrap it up, the last day of the semester ends on Friday, January 23rd.
Great. All right, anybody else have any good news to share?
Well, Happy New Year, everybody. We're back. And I have more of an announcement. And Diana, sorry if I steal your thunder. I may have already, it might be something that Southborough asked you to talk about. But at that half day, our elementary schools have worked together with their PTOs to bring in a speaker. His name is Sam. You may have heard of him before. His name is Sam Drazen. He wrote the book Wonder. But he works with the changing perspectives, and they're providing professional development for our staff during the day. But he'll also be here that evening for families at Center Elementary School between 7 and 8 in their cafeteria. So we're recommending, if you would like to go, please fill out the form and please attend. It's a very good, he has a very good message for students with disabilities and people that may have some physical deformities, and it's something I think you would really enjoy. It's geared more for like elementary and middle school age, but all are welcome to join.
Great. All right, anybody else have any good news they want to share?
I do think Linda stole my thunder, but you're sharing, Linda.
Sorry.
right.
I just have one quick thing. I also would like to say for good news that the kids are back in school. That's all.
As a parent, I'm sure that's
Yeah, as a
good news for
parent,
you.
that was a parental comment.
All right.
49 Parkerville Road, you guys have it.
Okay, we're now to our first public input session. I believe we have one speaker that is registered to speak, so if you want to come up, you can sit right here in the front. Yeah, and just, for the record, just name and address and.
Hi, everyone. I hope you had a great vacation. Great to see you guys. I didn't get to see you today.
Oh, both are in my class. You're very
They
lucky.
skipped class today? Is that it?
No, no, it's just on the schedule. I didn't see.
outing
No, these two would never skip. Oh, okay about that. Yeah, they would
Uh-oh,
never.
she's got you.
Yeah, they love AP history. Of course, look at them. Yeah, they're like, crap, I see her again tonight. I'm kidding. Just so everyone knows, my name is Katie Sullivan. I am the president of the CFT Local 3569, and I'm also a social studies teacher at Chelmsford High School. My address for tonight's purposes are 200 Richardson Road, Chelmsford, Mass. So I hope everyone had a great vacation and New Year. As you know, Dr. Lang reached out to me in regards to next year's calendar. And I spent a great deal of time weighing the options and speaking to staff members. I'm asking, perhaps even advising, that the committee follow the language in the contract in regards to the start of the school year, even though Labor Day is late this year, as in September 7th. My concerns about starting earlier is that it could cause a financial burden for our members. Staff members may live in a community who will not be starting as early as the week of August 24th, 2026. This would mean an added expense for daycare. We could see the end of the 2026-2027 school year to be in late June, and yes, this could cause us staff to pay for additional daycare as well. But at least they have a year and a half to plan for that possibility. If we start earlier this coming August, they only have 7 months to plan. Being 7 months out may seem like plenty of time, but keep in mind that camp registrations for day camps have already started for the summer. Also, many staff may have already committed to vacation plans because they're following the contract, and vacation rentals. Changing the start of school now could cause a loss of money to those staff members. With starting earlier in August, we are not receiving any financial gain. I try to work out a bonus. He didn't take me up on it. Yeah. Didn't get it. So with starting earlier in August, we're not receiving any financial gain, which could help staff pay for the expense of daycare for the week or weeks, depending on where that staff member lives, because there's still communities that start after Labor Day. It also we don't have any way to help those staff members who have already put down a non-refundable deposit for a vacation rental. Changing of the start of school could also have a negative impact on the Chelmsford families who have also financially committed to a vacation rental for the week of August 24th, 2026. I'm also concerned about new hires if we start earlier. They would have their 2 required days to, what I call, assimilate to the district the week of August 17th. Our first pay day is scheduled for Friday, September 4th. I double-checked that. That is correct. New teachers will technically be prepping and working 3 weeks before receiving their first paycheck. The district's new hires may have had to leave a previous job in the summer in order to start teaching and prepping at CPS, and that could have a negative financial impact on them. New teachers may have possibly have the burden of student loans and other life expenses, and starting earlier could prevent them from working and earning the necessary money that's needed to live in the state of Massachusetts or southern New Hampshire. I understand another concern the committee may have is the primary election, which is scheduled for Tuesday, September 1st, 2026. I'm asking that we move forward with that Tuesday being a regular school day in the district. I would like to remind the committee that the state of Massachusetts is not a swing state. I also do not believe that the school district should be disrupted with the start of school due to one school only being impacted. To help alleviate concerns about the primary election, perhaps an extra police officer or detail could be provided at McCarthy while school is in session to help navigate the entrance to the polling location. I understand that another concern the committee may have is that next year's weather conditions could cause school to be called off, which could extend the school year into late June. As we know, Dr. Lang is very cautious in calling days off.
Oh, we
Gentlemen,
know.
will you agree?
We know.
That is a discussion for another time, right? We can get into that later. But this is just a reminder that whenever we get out of school in June, the schools are hot. It doesn't matter. The classrooms are unbearable from the 1st of June on. Our heating and cooling systems in the schools, I don't know if you guys realize this, are not great.
Oh, no, we know.
I think we've been to that discussion, yeah.
We've had that.
For years, a Band-Aid has been placed on a bleeding artery in regards to those systems, but hopefully be worked out with the new building, right? The schools will be hot, if not hotter, in the middle of August, and they could be at the end of June. I'm suggesting that the committee bring to the negotiating table in 2028 language to address the situation when Labor Day is late in September. That way, the CFT may provide counter language and have their membership vote on any contractual changes that are hashed out. The CFT supports the language in the contract and asks that the teacher's first day back be Monday, August 31st. Students kindergarten through ninth grade, their first day is Tuesday, September 1st. All students in the district attend school Wednesday and Thursday. Friday, September 4th, there's no school for the district, which allows for a 4-day weekend, and we will resume school on Tuesday, September 8th. Starting the Monday before Labor Day weekend is the traditional schedule since it was negotiated by the district and the CFT. Any changes to the start of the school year should be negotiated during the next round of bargaining.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you for looking into that. All right, I believe that was it for public comment, so we're on to new business.
Thank you. We're going to jump right to one of our first presentations of the night is our Parker Middle School. So I welcome Principal Josh Blagg up to the table with I see some students and some staff, but I'll let Josh do the introductions once everyone is settled. The only thing I would ask is that when people try speaking, just try to move the mic in front of you so that you can speak right in front of the mic. And we're very excited to hear a little bit about what's happening at Parker this year. So I will turn it over to you.
All right, I'm excited to be here, and I have some great, a great team with me. My name is Josh Blagg. I'm the principal of Parker Middle School, the proud principal of Parker Middle School, and we're having a really good year. And I have some great people alongside me. So I want to just kind of go over a few things. Our agenda today is to go over our school improvement plan, talk about a new program that we've initiated through our DAS committee called the Tier 2 Morning Interventions, and we're going to be hearing some reflections on the connections we're making, some of the improvements we're making in the school through our student ambassadors, and then we'll be hearing from our instructional leaders as well. Our student ambassadors, we have Indira Singham, we have Maddie Kowalik, we have Jeffrey Long, and we have Kyle Bean. All right, so we're going to jump right into this. The Parker School Improvement Plan, the achievement goal is during this year, Parker students will exceed 100% median to typical growth on the iReady Spring 2026 Math Diagnostic. That's our goal. And we are actively monitoring iReady student usage and benchmark data. Student progress in areas of need are targeted with Tier 2 interventions and supports. We've also instituted a win block, which was instituted to create additional time for this Tier 2 implementation throughout the school. Some of these targeted interventions, there's 3 different areas that we're targeting. There's the academic, which is we're targeting reading, writing, and math goals for those for behavioral. There's minor classroom infractions like task avoidance, calling out or coming to class unprepared. And then there's social emotional interventions as well to target growth mindset, self-management, social awareness, and emotional regulation. So those are the different areas that these interventions are being implemented. These targeted interventions are developed by the classroom teachers and implemented during class, regular class time, during win block, or at the outset or the close of class, depending upon the intervention. The What I Need block is that we added it last year, the 25-minute block, and that is just what it says. It's what that specific student needs at that particular time. Some of what goes on during that time is at a targeted intervention in small groups. There's makeup work being done, there's enrichment, and there's basically whatever the student needs at that moment. And Maddie Kowalik's going to talk a little bit about her experience and her impressions of What I Need based on her experience and her peers.
Quick question, Maddie, what grade are you in?
I'm in 6th.
Okay, thanks.
All these guys are in 6th grade.
Okay.
So they're all veterans.
In my class, we use one block is very important to us because we use it for extra work and work that we missed when we were absent, and then sometimes we use it for like when we need to make up a test or we need to make the test grade better. And we also sometimes use it for group projects when we don't have enough time in class. And if sometimes when my class doesn't have anything to do at that time, I have some people reading and playing games on their Chromebooks when we're allowed to from our teacher. And I like that all of my teachers that I have are very available during that time to like help us with anything in our class.
Excellent. Thank you, Maddie. That's our what I need block, and it really depends upon that specific student at that particular moment in time. But a lot of these tier 2 interventions that I just talked about, that's one area, period of time during the day where they are freed up to pull a small group together to work on a specific skill that they might be experience a deficit in, to try to bring, to see that growth. And that's our goal there. If anything, I wish we had a little more time to have a couple more win blocks during the week, because there's not enough time. There's never enough time, right? The interventions that we do implement, as you know, the district has bought Panorama for our students, and it's a wonderful platform because it basically houses all the student data, whether it's their attendance, whether it's their social emotional health through our SEL surveys, obviously their grades, their standardized testing, all in one place, which is a wonderful thing. But not only that, we can put our interventions, we can upload the data that the teachers keep track of on that particular intervention. And that is really helpful, not only for that particular year, but when they go on to 7th grade or they go on to 8th grade, well, we can see this student had intervention on executive functioning. And oftentimes that's not a surprise to a teacher, but like, oh, that makes sense because this kid struggles a little bit with organization, that kind of thing. But it shows what's been done and some of the progress that's been made. So that platform, Panorama, is a great tool that we really utilize tremendously. Any kid who's brought up for SST, to see if they're maybe, if we want to push them forward for testing for special education, we ask that they, we ask to see what kind of interventions they've already tried prior to pushing them forward for testing. So having those, and those are all stored on Panorama as well. So it's a really valuable tool for teachers to see what's been tried as well in multiple different facets. Our second school improvement goal is the social emotional learning goal. Parker will ensure that students have strong relationships with staff and their peers, so students feel welcomed and included and safe in school. We have implemented a school-wide SEL block that meets at the same time on Wednesdays every week. Every staff member is assigned a small group of 10 to 12 students to deliver the second step social emotional curriculum. The smaller groups and utilization of all staff creates a more inclusive and safe environment where all students feel safe and seen and heard. This is the second year that we've embraced this. Everything stops Wednesday morning at the beginning of the day, and every staff member has about 10 kids. So it's a great way to create a safe space where great topics are explored and the kids can provide their insight into it. So we've embraced SEL. On top of that, one of the things that we really are trying to value and push is connections between staff and students, students and students, and staff and students. And we do that through a variety of things like clubs and activities. For instance, student council, best buddies, intramurals, drama club, just to name a few. We have grade level socials. We're having one next Friday, our first one for our 5th graders. Service projects like Be the Change, which we just finished over the month of December. We're going to have a talent showboat at the end of the year or in the spring. We Are Parker, our year-end celebration that we just instituted last year, is another just celebration of everything Parker and who we are. And just really trying to develop connection, because Parker is the first time when all 4 elementary schools come together. A lot of the kids don't know each other, right? Because they come from 25% of the town. So it's incumbent upon us to try to give them opportunities to forge new relationships. And I think we will see, because this is just the 3rd year. But I think it's really going to pay off as they navigate McCarthy and then even the high school, because they're not meeting people when they get there. They've already been exposed to all these people. So the other things that we have is, we develop relationships with students and teachers in and out of the class. And Jeffrey and Kyle are going to talk a little bit about their impressions and reflections on making connections with not only their peers, but with staff. Who wants to speak first?
Kyle.
Kyle, okay.
Yeah. We negotiated that.
We did?
I know I've made a lot of connections with teachers, and so has Jeffrey, I think, hopefully. They just want to help you outside of your academic goals, and I think lots of the activities you get to see some of the teachers a lot more and get to know them better. So you have at least one person in the building you can go to.
You want to talk about your activities that you're involved in?
Oh yeah, I do best buddies and intramurals. Very different. So best buddies is just on having an inclusive community and meeting other people who you might not get to see a lot because they're in other classrooms. And intramurals is where you get to meet a lot of people who have a lot of energy, like myself. Just fun to meet more people like myself.
Jeffrey, your reflections?
So basically, a few clubs and activities that I did last year. So last year I did student council and drama. So I met a lot of people at student council, including Kyle and Indira, and half of us are now friends. And in a few of these clubs, like in drama, I made a bunch of friends with sixth graders that I hadn't known before when I was in fifth grade. And I also think that we make friends when we're on the bus. Because when I was on the bus last year, I really didn't know anybody on my bus except my neighbor. But on the first day of school, I sat next to someone that I'd never met. But then, we just started talking, and instantly we became friends. So I feel like sometimes it's not just clubs and activities. Sometimes it always has to do with school, but sometimes it's, not part of actual school. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I think Kyle pointed it out, but our goal is for every student to be able to point to at least one adult in the building as well that they could go to if they need something, and that's our ultimate goal. And part of that with the SEL groups, having every single staff member meet them, and then also with this morning interventions that you're going to hear about in a little bit, it's just another effort to try to help, especially kids who might struggle a little bit socially or struggle making connections. We're doing more to try to kind of bridge that gap. And I think we're making progress. But thanks, guys. The last thing that this group's going to talk about is a little bit is these four guys were part of our visioning sessions. They came to the high school on a couple different Wednesdays, I think it was, but it was good 3-hour sessions. I think it was Tuesdays. Thank you, Matt. I knew Maddie was going to correct me. But there were long sessions, and I was frankly a little bit worried about the endurance of the kids to be able to handle that and how they would be able to deal with hearing discussions from architects, from Dr. Lang, from Dr. Hirsch, from parents, and these guys stepped right up and had their voices heard. And some of the things they talked about was just learning. It was interesting for them to hear what the teachers, because there were a lot of teachers there as well, what they felt was really important in building a new school and what that looks like and what that feels like and what kind of community we want to grow in that new space. Participating in discussions in creating that, we talked a lot about our core values and the vision for the future of learning and what that physical space can do to enhance that. Viewing pictures and layouts of new school buildings was super exciting for not only me, but these guys to see what it could be. And it is difficult going back to Parker sometimes after seeing some of these palaces. Not that there's anything wrong with Parker, but it's a little dated at the moment. So that's something that we're talking about. And Indira and Maddie are going to talk a little bit about their impressions of that experience. And I think it's unique to Parker, right?
So I attended those sessions and I felt like it was a very great experience because I've never met so many teachers in one room. Because sometimes not everyone comes, like all my peers. But it's like weird to talk in front of everyone because I don't know who they are. And also, we learned about the core purpose of education and what we should actually prioritize for student growth and success. Other than just the building, we did talk about what we want, what as students, what we actually like, and also for teachers, parents, and etc. And there was a lot of staff. And we were imagining the future of Parker Middle School's physical space, discussing what features and resources and overall atmosphere would be best support both the teachers' work and the students' learning experiences, as Mr. Black said. And I would also like to thank Mr. Black for this opportunity to come here and also go to the visioning sessions with my peers. It was a really great experience since I've never been to something like that, and it's really educational because I don't know what a school actually needs. Like, there's so much that I've actually learned when I went to those sessions. I don't have anything to say.
Maddie was there for moral support, but you really liked one of the slides you saw.
I did. I really liked the slide.
There's a huge slide in one of the new buildings that she thought was pretty awesome.
And if I could jump
What
in,
it could look
I was,
like, what
I
it
was
might
lucky.
look like.
No, it was like in the middle of the stairs, and the kids could just go down it,
Oh, yeah.
go to the class, and I thought that was really fun.
Oh, an actual slide, not like a
No, a real slide.
PowerPoint slide.
Oh!
Actual slides. Like one of those like round ones, the enclosure ones, and I really liked it.
Why not?
I really liked it.
You're sixth graders, but slide to slide.
Yeah.
And just to add, I was lucky enough to have both Maddie and Indira, some of the groups I was in, and so you would think that students would be a little intimidated and not really, they were great. They were very free with their opinions and perspectives, which is what we want to hear. So it was, unfortunately, I didn't see you guys there, but I did, have the opportunity to work with both of them. They were great information that we got out of those.
Yeah,
those
truly,
students.
these guys are ambassadors for Parker. Clearly, I mean, I find them very impressive, and they're, the kind of kids we want to produce out of Parker. So I'm proud of these guys. All right, guys, you guys can head back, and I'm going to introduce Jennifer Clark and Megan Cologne and Kristen Lyons.
Can I ask you a quick club question before you go on, since
Sure.
the club things? I had heard that, like, as a new fifth grader to the school, you don't even know who your friends are going to be yet, and what clubs they might be in, and then it's time to sign up for clubs and you haven't done it, and then that's it for the rest of the year. Is that true? Do you ever get an opportunity to join a club mid-year when you realize it was something you wished you had done and hadn't?
Of course, yeah. There's no cutoff date. We always welcome it. In fact, especially kids who are having trouble making connections, we seek them out through their counselor or through their peers to, hey, what are you involved in? What do you really like? Why don't you come and join? Try it out, see if you like it. No, we want the more kids we have there, the better. And I was there after school today, and between the over 100 drama kids there for rehearsal, and then intramurals going on, and 16 other different clubs, the place was hopping.
All right, I will pass that information on. The opportunity is still there.
It is still there, for sure. So,
Before you move on, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say thank you to the students who presented. I know a couple of you personally, sorry I can't be there. And I just wanted to add that I think it's such a unique opportunity right now for students to have been involved in something like a new school design project. And I just really want to applaud the district administrators and the school building committee for really prioritizing including student voices in the design process. These 4 kids are obviously really exceptional and contribute a lot of really wonderful ideas, but I also think no matter which kid it is that is participating, there's something incredibly beneficial about this kind of once in a lifetime opportunity to be part of something like that. It's a wonderful learning experience, and I hope as the work and the design work continues that we continue to lean into that opportunity to give more kids a chance to weigh in their thoughts and perspectives.
So
Josh, right now, what would you say is the percentage of students at Parker who do participate and take advantage of these extracurricular wonderful activities?
That's a good question. I don't have a total for you, but I would say probably over half.
That's that's
Yeah, so
phenomenal.
probably over 400 kids.
So one of the things I had understood is that last year you actually had plays with 2 casts because you had so many people that wanted to participate. And that's absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
But even beyond that, if you have other clubs and other opportunities, it's great. I think that the future of education is way beyond academics, and the social emotional component of life is prominent, and that's what makes us human. I'm so glad to hear this. As part of that, when they transition over to McCarthy, what's the preparation that's going on a little bit, if you could talk about that, to get them over there in the social emotional preparation?
So it's a pretty multifaceted, right? I mean, for one, the 6th graders will go over and actually visit and meet with Dr. Parks and Mr. Cohen. They'll get a tour. They'll hear from some student leaders over there. Our counselors take notes on all kids who have had some issues or had some difficulty. They share their notes with the counselors over there. Even just heads up, like, hey, look out for this kid. They might have lost a parent. Just little things like that, or things specific to that student.
You're talked about.
Yeah.
So it's not just Panorama, it's more than that.
Oh, for sure.
Also involves the.
There's a lot of meetings that go on. I'll also meet with Dr. Mark Souza, and I will meet with Dr. Parks and Mr. Cohen and go over that, just like I do when I go to the elementary schools. I'll go to all 4 elementary schools and talk to them specifically, separate from the counselors and social workers, because we wanna know what's coming in. And we want to be really purposeful in our planning and scheduling and make sure that we set kids up for success as best we can with as much information as we have at our disposal.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
Will we move on?
Almost set?
All right, great.
All right. So the last part of our presentation, we're going to talk with our DAIS instructional leadership team. DAIS is diversity, accessibility, inclusion, and support. It's kind of the new MTSS and DEI committees kind of melded into one. And it's basically, the goal is to work to ensure that all students are supported academically, emotionally, and behaviorally, while providing an inclusive learning environment. And these 3 amazing professionals to my right and left are great advocates for this. They're our coaches or instructional leaders, and they really help set the agenda with myself and Mark with that goal in mind. And this year we talked about instituting a Tier 2 morning intervention. So I already talked about our Tier 2 interventions, but this is like the start of the day. The kids get dropped off at the bus at 8:05. Our first academic class starts at 8:25, so we have 20 minutes. And we targeted those 20 minutes with teachers who don't have homeroom. And I'm not going to steal the thunder because they're going to talk about it. But it was to try to make, we saw a need in helping kids with very specific areas. And we've started enacting it. It's pretty exciting. So I'm going to turn it over to them so they can talk about it because they are the experts on it. Who's starting?
I'll start. Hi, I'm Megan Colon. I am a 6th grade math science teacher, and I've also been on the DAIS committee for 3 years now. This is my 3rd year working with Josh on the committee. Before I get into this slide, I do want to say we've worked on the 2nd step lesson, so I've been part of that planning as well. Also including like making new lessons where we saw areas of added need. We also have focused a lot on the WIN block and making sure teachers are using Panorama to implement interventions. And we use that time to pull students for academic need mostly, but not always. Sometimes we pull them for other needs such as organizational skills. But throughout the year, last year, we really focused on MTSS, or DAIS, sorry. to kind of look at like where is there still need, even though we have this wind block that is giving some added intervention for our tier 2 interventions. And we talked a lot last year about the need of kids coming in. Sometimes kids just want to talk to you. Sometimes kids are just trying to build friendships. And then we see a need of where kids are just really dysregulated or unorganized when they come in. And we found that there might be a need to kind of get them ready for the school day before school actually started. And that's kind of why we started this program. So it says we all recognize the need of students to be regulated in order to learn. Each student has a unique set of circumstances, and they aren't always able to come to school ready. The Parker School staff and the Days Committee coordinated morning Tier 2 intervention group supports for students with different needs. And we kind of, sorry, I'm a little nervous, to start their day in a positive way while supporting their academic, social, and overall growth and success. We also don't have Tier 2 interventionists anymore for math and ELA. So that also kind of made us start thinking like, how can we as teachers really kind of hone in on those areas of supports that we used to have that we no longer have? And that's why we decided to start this morning Tier 2 intervention. And this is a volunteer basis for teachers. Teachers have chosen to volunteer to be part of this. The main objective is to support those students that come to school kind of just not quite ready for the day. Maybe they're really tired, hungry, or they have things on their mind that they might just want to like talk about with someone. And again, and some of the kids just need some added social interaction. So it's to support those different needs. And then the secondary objective is to increase student engagement in the classroom and to also have us help support teachers with the classroom management. So if we have kids maybe getting some extra activity or something, then they might be a little bit more relaxed to start. But a few of the other ladies will talk about that a little bit more.
All right, I'm going to take it from here.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Kristen Lyons, and I teach health at Parker, and I go to CHIPS and do a little bit of phys ed. And Megan, I'm nervous too. We chose 4 different groups to offer to teachers to recommend students for. And this was after a lot of different conversations about what students might need and what we might be able to do to provide them for before school. Like Josh said, for those 20 minutes, what can we do to help some kids? So the groups are what they sound like. There's the Breakfast Club, and it's a chance for students to go in, have some conversation with a staff member and a few peers, and just get their day started on the right foot and a relaxed setting, some social time. And you could imagine there are a variety of students who could benefit from an experience like that, not just like one type of student. Several would benefit from something like the Breakfast Club. The Let's Move one is for some kiddos that could get the wiggles out before school. School starts pretty early, so being able to get a workout in or get the wiggles out on their own doesn't always happen. So giving them a chance to do something constructive in the gym with other peers and supervision will hopefully help them feel more ready to start their day, maybe a little more focused or engaged. And then Mindful Moments really does focus on mindfulness and also growth mindset. So helping students have that quiet space, maybe doing some mindful coloring or breathing exercises or just some positive thinking before the day starts. And again, you could see different students fitting into different groups or even a couple. And then the last one is the organization station. And this one is helpful for students who might need some extra time with some support from a staff member to, could be organize binders or folders or their backpacks like exploding. So that's kind of how it started off. And it's kind of transitioned into organizing assignments, checking X2, what might we be missing, who can we talk to about making up an assignment, or when can we work on it if it's not finished and turn it in. So that one, as well as all of them, are kind of evolving since it's new. You know, we had a vision for what we'd do for each group, and then as you get the students, you kind of tailor it towards what they need. And sometimes it's what you expect, and other times you're doing a little more adjusting than you might have thought. But they're really different opportunities for students, and it's a nice opportunity to hit on our student populations in different ways. And just how does it work? Because it's like, great, we have this time and all these kids get to do these things. But it's a little bit different than that. It is staff recommended, so there's a spreadsheet where staff members can go in, and they know that those are the 4 groups that are available, and they just think of like their highest need students, a couple maybe that they have that could really benefit from those. Not just that'd like to do mindfulness or like they'd love to go to the gym, but like which ones really need to be doing the organization or the movement. So they recommend first. And then we review the suggested students and try to break them down into groups that make sense. So maybe by grade, if we're doing organization, like these teachers work together, so we could clump them together. Or by need, the breakfast club, maybe that some students had different needs, what they might need to talk about or share in the morning. So we could split it up that way. It kind of depends on which group it is. And then we share the information pertaining to the groups with the homeroom teachers, because it's hard to remember to go somewhere in the morning. So we really need the homeroom teachers on board so that when those kids arrive at 8:05 can be like, remember, today's your day to go to the organization place. And they also communicate home so families know that their child is having this opportunity. Most of the time they are really excited about it and they're happy for them to participate. So that's been really positive as well. And yeah, we usually do Tuesday, Thursdays. So they're having a chance 2 days a week to go for 20 minutes. There was one Monday, Thursday group, I think, because of a teacher thing. But we're starting with the 2 days a week to see how effective it is and see how it goes from there. And then we do collect data. So we just gave out some forms to staff members who recommended the students. And the staff members were able to share, based on that student going 2 days a week, was there some progress in their organization or their engagement in class, and some notes as to their feedback on what they specifically noticed, as if it helped or somewhat helped, or if they didn't notice any changes at all. So that's kind of, if you wanted to just chime in with anything else.
No, you're doing great.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Clark. I teach math and science, 5th grade at Parker. Right now we have 56 students that are participating in these morning interventions. So this is our first, we just finished our first 6 weeks, so to have 56 students right off the bat was pretty exciting. And we have 11 staff members that are volunteering to run these groups each morning, and they've all signed up again, so that's exciting. So as far as the data tracking, we initially just wanted to get the groups up and running, so now we are beyond the 6-week mark. So we had teachers and group facilitators tracking the attendance to see which kids were going, which kids were giving a little pushback on going. Most of them were excited to go, and we took care of the attendance in that way. Following the 6-week intervention, the homeroom teachers filled out forms, whether they felt it was effective or not. A lot of the teachers did recommend the students for the next round of 6-week intervention because they did see some growth and progress there. And also it kind of helps to us to see their engagement, if that's increased in the classroom, their behavior might increase in a positive way. The group facilitators, the volunteers are also providing feedback, positive feedback and negative if somebody's struggling within the group, if there might be a group that would be a better fit for them. So we've solicited feedback from them as well. We did collect this data from the staff members where it's currently being put into Panorama, and we felt that that was important because next year's teachers and beyond can know that this student really did well by having this outlet and this support to meet their needs. So it's helpful for current teachers and teachers moving forward. And like I said, we're currently preparing for our second round, which will start the week of January 19th. We've had to make some tweaks along the way because it was a new program, and we got a lot of positive feedback from staff and students. So we've made some necessary changes, but we're really looking forward to round 2 and the success of our students.
It was so cute. I had 4 kids in my morning intervention group for the organization, and we got in. At first, it's hard to get everybody there on time and know to go on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then they started coming regularly. We were in a good groove, and then we said, "Okay, it's over. We're going to take a break, and we're going to start again soon, maybe." And of course, the first Tuesday back, they're coming down, and I'm like, "Oh, they're ready for organization. Oh, we have a break." So we had to have them go back and say maybe next time. But
I think this also helps build relationships, like Josh was saying, where there are teachers who want to see more students. Maybe they just have a different type of job in the building and they don't see as many kids as some of the homeroom teachers or the specialists. So it gives them an opportunity to meet other teachers in the building who other students might connect with, they would otherwise not even get to know. So it does bring our community together a little bit more, allowing other teachers to participate in different avenues that they may have not done or been able to do before. So it's been really great. Some of the teachers are already like, I love my group. I want to do it again. So.
I would just say it truly is a targeted intervention, right? I mean, there's 830 kids at Parker. There's 56 involved. So it's very, the referrals are very mindful, and it's designed to help a kid who might be struggling in a particular area, to help them, gain some confidence and earn, build some skills and gain some success. So that's where we're at. So questions?
No questions, but I say bravo on that. I was a first grade teacher, and wow, I think of the beginning of the school day and how many kids could benefit even down at that level from someone to just help them get the day started, because a lot of kids come in with one or the other. The reason, the organization station alone, just the kids who come in and they're still kind of a mess and they need someone to help them figure out, let's do this. So I say bravo, it's wonderful. And I'd love to see this model, that you work on it more, and maybe there's a way even to bring it to other grade levels, because it's very much needed. So thank you for coming up with this.
I want to make a comment about the volunteers. So the volunteer part. This, you just reach out to the staff and you say, who wants to volunteer to do this? Is that how this works?
Yeah. Yeah, we did put out, we presented to the staff what the groups were and what it would entail. And then we shared a Google form where, they could just sign up. They could say which group they would prefer to do, or they could check as many as they were willing to do. So we could slide them in as needed. Any other preferences, but it was all.
So it's not in the job description. It's not part of what your role is supposed to be throughout the day. So I just want to say thank you tremendously, because what you're doing adds so much value and helps students so much and their families to make sure that they can achieve and do well. And kudos to you all. I mean, seriously, as a staff.
When we started it, when we even introduced it, the idea, the 4 of us were like, this may never get off the ground, because if we didn't get people to step forward, it never would have come to. And you can't force somebody, hey, this is a great idea, do it. And honestly, we had too many volunteers. It says a lot about our staff and how
Yes, it
willing they are
does.
to work so hard for the kids. So
It says
we're
a
proud of them.
tremendous amount about the staff and about wanting to really do well for the students. So
Yeah, and I'll say, sorry, I didn't mean to cut
just
you
wanna
off.
say
I will
thank
say,
you.
like, this was teacher directed, like, because the conversations had happened last year through the Days Committee. This was something that teachers actually wanted to see happen. So I think when it came to volunteering, more teachers were willing to volunteer because they saw that it was an area of need. So it was directed by the teachers, and then the teachers are continuing to choose to volunteer, which is wonderful.
Yeah, and I think in a world where people choose to do the minimum and you're not choosing that choice, I truly commend you and thank you.
John, you have something?
Yeah, 2 things. First of all, were they 5th graders that were up here?
6th grade.
They were 6th grade, okay, 'cause they were geniuses. So in 6th grade, I knew what day they served tater tots, never mind like the education purpose for a school. So good for bringing those kids. They're really good work over there. And the second thing is I noticed you had 4 different stations, and this is purely scientific, pure science. Have you ever considered like a coffee station for the kids? It's a joke.
That would be no.
No, only for the teachers. Only
for
for
the
the teachers.
teachers.
Yeah, we can get you guys a teacher. No, thank you for the work. It's really great work. And I like to be a little bit light about it, but you guys are really doing great stuff. And kids like to feel included, and being close to your teachers is not always easy for kids. So it gives them kind of a different window I like it.
Great. Diana, do you have anything?
Just really quickly, just saying that I loved hearing that this was a teacher-generated idea. I love hearing that there's opportunities for educator leadership that translate into something that is doing such great work with kids. So yeah, thank you and keep up the good work.
Great. All right, well, thank you all. Thank you very much to the students as well.
Thank
With
you,
a great
guys.
presentation. Thank you.
Thank
Take
you
care
very
of those
much for
Moses
coming in,
kid.
and thank
That
you.
one, the last one.
Thank you, students and families as well, for supporting them.
You don't have to say that. That's fine.
No, he really is.
I know. My son's the best.
I know. All right. Give him a sec.
Maybe just in
Yeah.
case the doors get loud when they open and close.
Have a good rest of the night.
Take care. Have a good night.
Oh, gosh, we don't know these people.
What's that?
We don't know these people.
No, we're going to get to know them very well. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. See you guys again.
Yep.
Okay. Our second item on the agenda, you guys are number 3, but we have one quick agenda item before you. This was just a continuation of the, oh, you can stay where you are, you're fine. The school calendar for 26, 27. We had put this on the agenda at the last meeting and then had some dialogue, and I appreciate Katie, kind of taking a look at the calendar. As you know, next year's Labor Day just starts incredibly late, and so we had a little bit of dialogue about, should we consider moving it up the week? I get the, staff implications and things like that, and so it just made sense to adhere to the contract, which is fine. I had given you basically 3 options as I saw them that comply with the contract at the last meeting. The first one is just to keep the traditional schedule that we've been running for about the last 7 or 8 years, which has us go back to school on Tuesday. Teachers would return back on Monday the 31st. Students would come back on Tuesday the 1st, grades 1 to 9. Then our high school kids come in on Wednesday, Thursday, and we take a 4-day weekend, the Friday, and then that Monday. That's what we typically been running. That's my recommendation. That was the recommendation of Katie when she was up speaking. That's what we were talking about. Then there were 2 alternatives with the, because I know there was a concern or questions raised about the primary voting day at McCarthy. So another option was to have the teachers basically come back on Tuesday the 1st, have the kids come back 1 through 9 on Wednesday the 2nd, some kids come back on the 3rd, and then keep that 4-day weekend. My big concern about that is, again, continuity. We're not going to have great attendance for high school kids that only come in, high school kids, that only come in 1 day before the long break. And I think that could just be troublesome for scheduling. Third option would be teachers come back on Tuesday the 1st, and then we go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So to get the traditional 3 days in like we typically do, we wouldn't take that Friday off as a holiday. It's technically not a holiday, Monday's the holiday, but we've just been, a little bit of routine about doing that extra long weekend before Labor Day. So those are the 3 options that are kind of before you for consideration and discussion. Those all comply with the contract. Again, one is just keeping the main contract, and then the other 2 are iterations. So I think at this point, you guys just have to talk about it and decide.
All right, we'll start. Diana, do you have any thoughts?
I have a lot of thoughts, but I don't have any that have resolved into anything solid. I would be happy to hear what my fellow committee members think. I definitely appreciate that, under deeper consideration, going back the prior week does not make sense to the staff, and I want to honor that, of course. Among the 3 options that remain, I don't love any of them, to be honest. I do continue to have some, maybe this is a little bit of my kids starting at McCarthy next year bias, but I am a little concerned still about returning on election day. On the other hand, I can see the drawbacks of the other 2 calendars. So I'd love to hear what my colleagues think.
Okay. Anybody else? Susan? Yeah.
So I understand the concerns coming from the town side about starting students on the election day, but I think the burden really becomes on the school, not the town, because I work at those elections. there's a heavy police presence at the entrances. The kids are going to be safe. I am sure of that we don't have to worry about that being an issue, because we haven't had an issue any other days. The burden's really on the school, how they're going to deal with the fact that it's the first day of school and they really don't want students having a lot of traffic down that hallway back by the gym and the cafeteria. But that's a school-based issue, and if the school feels confident that they can deal with that well on the first day of school, I am not objecting to that being the first day of school. I don't think calendars 2 or 3 make sense. Because you're right, you can't just have 1 day of school and then 4 days off. And I think because tradition has had it, for the very reasons that Katie mentioned, you can't suddenly take that Friday away from people who have long planned their summers, including that kind of long day weekend. I wouldn't take that away from people at this point. So I would support out of these, number 1.
Number 1.
Okay, in order to vote for number 1, the assurance I want to have is that there is not going to be a huge traffic problem, parking and congestion and so on, when the buses pick up and drop off. How are we handling that?
I mean, we have elections, we have primary, we have town elections during the regular school year. The anomaly here is just happens to be the first day, but, you know, they're used to working with that. It's not an issue in the morning with the drop-off, because it's not like all the buses are coming at the exact same time to drop the kids off. There are a lot of buses, but they're dropping off there, and then they're going on to Parker, and they're doing their routes. So it's not like you have a whole parking lot full of buses. They do a drop and they keep moving. So, you know, there's about a 20-minute, 25-minute window where you do have buses coming in, dropping off kids, but then they progress on to the next school. In the afternoons is when they do a little bit more of the staging, because obviously they do the high school run, and then they come over to McCarthy, and they line up to be able to get all the kids on the buses at McCarthy, and then it's like a convoy that kind of leaves the parking lot. It's interesting to watch, quite honestly, but all 29 buses kind of leave, but there is about, I'd say 15 to 20 minutes of buses coming in from all around the town, lining up, putting the kids on, and then they leave McCarthy, and they head out to Parker. I think the timing of that is probably the most optimal in the middle of the day. And again, I'm thinking just from history and voters. People are going to come vote like before they go to work for the day. It's going to get busier in the afternoon when people get out of work, 4 o'clock through like 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, whenever the polls are open. There's not a mad rush of people coming to vote at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Like that's not like the prime kind of voting time. So I think it can be managed, and they have managed it previously. It just means you have to have a little extra staff outside to help, and police as well, with the facilitation of the traffic.
So I've got the bus part. How about the parent part, the pickup by the cars? What happens there? Yeah, parking lot.
Yeah, the parents do the same. I mean, right now, the parents are doing their staging in the back parking lot,
Right.
kind of near the field.
Right.
So the parents that do the drop-off and pick-up, they come in, they wait, the kids get in their car, and then they leave. The only thing that we have to do, but we do this now, is basically we do hold the cars while the buses leave, because we want the buses to all leave at the same time to go to Parker. So the policeman actually just stops the individual cars from going. The buses all leave. It takes about 2 minutes. The buses all leave, and then the parents leave afterwards.
So is there going to be more additional parking spots available because of the update that's happened there?
There's additional parking, in the front of the building. So there's additional
Okay,
parking
but
in
how about
McCarthy.
the area where the tennis courts were and stuff? What's happening there now? Is there more parking there?
No, so there's basketball, there's street hockey, and there's tennis or pickleball, but they just utilize the existing parking that's in the back already. The extra parking was added right in the front of the school. They cut into the island.
Yeah, I know
And they
that.
added about 50 spots.
Yeah.
So there are spots there.
This is where I vote, and I know that I've had several there was nothing, and I've also dropped off and picked up my girls for
Park.
many years
Right.
at McCarthy, and I always found that there were a lot of people picking up and dropping off in addition to the buses.
I think this is a regional election. This isn't national. So It's not going to be as packed, right, this April?
This is in September. This is the primary.
State primary.
It's a state
The
primary
primary,
election.
so this won't be.
This is the primary, this is the
Okay.
big one.
It's not going to be like the
State
November
primary.
one.
No,
it'll be a
not like a
smaller one.
federal
Right,
primary, but.
it'll be a lower key one, but.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we'll be okay.
If you
But-
think you can manage that.
It's not going to be, there might be a little bit more traffic because more parents might choose to pick up on the first day than normally would throughout the year. But I am not aware of that ever having been a problem on voting day itself. Who would
believe
park in
we
the
have a
very,
half
very
day.
front? Would staff park there, leaving the sides for voters more open?
The staff typically park, if you're looking at McCarthy, the staff typically park in the left, out like along the whole line there. The voters typically park up near the cafeteria, and then the voters typically park out near the tennis courts.
No, not anymore, because more precincts are on the other
right.
side now. More
Well, they
precincts.
do park over there, but those are kind of the two voting spots.
Yeah,
There's nothing stopping staff or voters from parking in the front spots
Okay.
if they wanted to. And those are pretty open during the day. I mean, if anything, that's going to be helpful to add some parking spots. But the voters typically, if they're coming in the small gym, they usually do park over near the tennis courts. But as you indicated, the bulk of them do go on the left side of the building, out near the caf.
yeah.
So that's where they park.
So the biggest issue is just making sure that parents, especially parents of seventh graders who don't know yet, have clear direction about what they're supposed to do if they are, when they are picking up on that first day. And if that's made clear to
The
people.
dropping off and the picking up.
Yeah, I mean,
And I
it's the
did-
first time they're doing it, so they'll need clear direction on how that process works. But as long as they're given clear direction and help to see where that line goes, it should be okay.
Yeah, I mean, there are always a lot of people out there the first couple of weeks of school. That, there is going to be a half an hour in the middle of the day, like that 2 to 2:30, where there is going to be an activity. Voters will be coming.
Yeah.
But you're also going to have buses and things like that. But again, I don't think 2 to 2:30 is going to be like the peak voting time of the day. And I do think it's going to be very, very
It's
manageable.
early morning, lunch break, and then after schools have all gotten out. That's when it tends to be,
I would think
not
like
so much
4
during
o'clock
dismissal
on
time.
is going to be the bigger piece, but the buses will be gone by then.
Yeah.
I think Susan brought up a good point, though, it's a school problem. Have we talked to the principal over there and the administrators over there? Are they comfortable with starting
Yeah. I
school
think-
that first day with having the election down there, anything else?
Yes, I mean, they've made accommodations for this during the course of the year. I think they're going to implement their regular routine. I think they do a lot of, meet and greets on that first day anyway. There's a lot of like tours of the schools and things like that, but they'll be conscious of it. But the staff do want to come back and just have a traditional schedule. And not only McCarthy, because McCarthy's the one that's impacted by this, but the other 7 schools in the district also, I think, want to just have their regular routine and get the regular year started the way we do. I would have more of a concern if this was an elementary school, because those first couple of days, a lot of parents do come to do the pictures and stuff like that. There's not quite as many pictures of the middle school kids. So the parents aren't like lingering around quite as much in the parking lots. But the school's prepared for this. And again, we'll have extra staff on hand. We will.
Okay, so from what I'm hearing, it seems like we're leaning towards option 1, so I'll take a motion to approve calendar
Okay.
option 1.
I move that we approve option 1.
Second.
Second, okay. Any further discussion on this? Any other thoughts on this? I will do a roll call. Diana?
Aye.
Susan?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Maria?
Nay.
Hey, Dennis, aye. Okay, 4-1. Okay.
Okay,
2 and no.
now we're
We're gonna
on
get a lot of nay
to
votes.
Parker. Thank you, Katie. Have a good night. So we have several items on the agenda this evening related to Parker Middle School. And we have our colleagues from Left Field and AI3, our architects, here tonight for some updates. I know prior to the break, I'd sent out to each of the committee members a link to the draft education program that we've been working to refine over the last couple of months. I really have to credit Linda for pulling it all together and getting that document ready for the committee. In the packet was kind of the cleaned up version of the ed plan. And again, the purpose of this ed plan is really to document the existing conditions of the building, like what's currently happening curriculum-wise, and begin to talk about like our aspirations that would go into the new school facility. I will say, and we've talked internally about this, it is a little clunky because at the present time, we're actually writing for like 3 different scenarios. So there's the current grade 5, 6, but then we also have to talk about if we went with a 4, 5, 6, and we have another option with 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's not like a clean, smooth read as you go through it, but as over the next 2 or 3 months, as options fall off, then the document itself will then be kind of cut down and revised so that by May, when we do the preferred submission, what's the actual project that we want to move forward with, that will be just a very comprehensive document supporting our current program and then our aspirations for the new building. So this is still a little bit of a document that's in progress. We're not going to see a lot added to it, but we're going to see it streamlined to really hone in on the project that we want to advance ultimately with the MSBA. So one of the things we'd like to do tonight is talk a little bit about that. And again, we have AI3 in left field here if there's any questions. And I'm sorry, you guys actually have they have a presentation to walk us through, so I'll stop talking and we'll let them walk us through through that. Just a forecast for you, we're going to then talk a little bit about just kind of where the committee feels on the different grade options now and the configurations. And then we're going to talk about some next steps because the school building committee is going to be meeting again next Thursday. We're actually going to have some preliminary cost estimates at the end of this week that are going to be coming into discussion. So as much as this is a huge milestone to get the submission in by the end of January on this first phase of the work is continuing and moving fastly, and really between now and May are going to be some really critical steps. So I think that was a great opening for you guys. And whoever would like to jump forward, you go right ahead. And Linda will actually advance the slides for
Oh,
you.
no, I gave him a clicker.
Oh, you did? Okay. Julie, you're good to go.
Yes, I agree. Thank you for that intro and recap. So we were here, thank you for having us back. We were here in December, just as Dr. Lang mentioned, for that review and intro into the educational program document. So we're back tonight specifically for, and I'll just jump to the next. We are looking for the approval from the school committee to include this educational program narrative in our preliminary design program report. Just as Dr. Lang mentioned, this is still sort of in draft form. Essentially, as part of the MSBA's requirement, they do look for an endorsement by the school committee at this phase. There will be opportunity to revisit the document in the next phase, but essentially it's approving this somewhat final draft to be included in the PDP report. We do have a handful of slides tonight, but they are, for the most part, copies that were presented from the previous meeting, so we're happy to flip through if anyone needs any refresher ahead of maybe making a motion to approve the document or, open discussion. But however the committee sees moving that along, definitely open to that.
All right, you want to just go through the next couple slides just to give an overview of the educational program and then we'll discuss?
Absolutely. So the MSBA, of course, does require this document as being included in the PDP and the overall project design process. They're looking for the school committee to review and approve the document. Just as was outlined, the document itself describes the existing educational delivery of the Parker School as well as the proposed and any kind of new or addition renovation project. The educational program that the district put together, of course, has many highlights that are in pursuit of improving the current educational delivery, many of which were actually sort of a part of the previous presentation. So it's great to hear that the Parker Middle School staff is already implementing a lot of these directives. And of course, those have been described in greater detail in what the proposed educational delivery of any new project would be. So of course, trying to improve upon the existing buildings constraints and being able to promote more collaborative spaces, integrating a safe and secure environment, providing a full range of programs, and of course, having a design that will ultimately support those aspects. Our preliminary design program will include this educational program narrative as well as many, many other documents, many of which were also sort of shared and previewed at the most recent community forum. So that does include a lot of the design options that the building committee will be analyzing further at next week's meeting and being able to start to whittle those down a little bit. We will, of course, be looking to assemble the full document by the end of this month and be able to deliver that to the MSBA.
Why don't we stop there, because I know the next couple of things, just look at the options. So why don't we stop and just discuss the educational program? Hopefully everybody had a chance to read through it, make some comments. I appreciate Assistant Superintendent taking into account some of those comments too, and integrating them in the document. So does anybody have any thoughts they haven't shared about the educational program?
We should have gave this packet to those sixth graders.
Yeah, I share with Dr. Lang, but I just quickly repeat what I had said. I had read the draft that we were sent, and then what came in the packet yesterday, it seemed like things had been cleaned up already, because I found the original draft to be pretty clunky, and there were some things that concerned me, one of which it was calling it an open concept, and that set up a red flag for me. But I'm really glad to see that the wording has now been changed, where it's more like a neighborhood emphasis, the flexible learning spaces, as in terms of flexible learning spaces, and very specifically now I noticed it said general education classrooms paired with small group breakout spaces shared between them. And I'm glad that was really clarified, that it wasn't just an open concept where everything's trying to take place in the same setting, because that doesn't work. So I'm really glad to see that piece was cleaned up, and now I can support it a lot more than my first read. I don't know if my mindset had changed. My first read, I was just clunky and not at all clear to me, and it seems like this new version clarified a lot of my thinking on that, so I'm all set with it.
Okay.
Well, the other thing, though, I don't know the educational considerations, and I guess my understanding is a little more of the talk about what it would really look like for fourth graders would be something coming later? Because I know that was like a question, like readiness of fourth graders to shift to middle school model, giving up elementary model. That really hasn't been decided. There's opportunity for that to come later, am I correct? That doesn't need to be part of this document yet?
Can I jump in? So this document, and I didn't have a chance to really follow up with you. This document, in my opinion, and in my experience, is really serving to help the MSBA and the district define and I guess, get approval for a lot of the spaces within the building, right? Because we want as much of this building to be reimbursable as possible. So the MSBA has specific guidelines about like how much square footage you can have for classrooms and common spaces and therapy rooms and breakout rooms and all of these different things. So this program is basically, if you think about this being more spatial and actually just trying to get as much to be reimbursable as possible, we then have the whole layer of how you're going to actually use the space and operationalize the space, what's going to come into consideration with regard to like the counseling services and groups and things along those lines. So yes, there's a lot more work to be done on how it actually gets used. This is kind of a justification for the spaces that we want to put in the building.
All right, so when I reread that's in the packet we have in front of us now, it became a lot more clear to me, and I support this.
Okay, great. John, you had something?
I'm in support. That's all.
And
I'm really all about brevity today.
And just one sec, Diana. Oh, and just to be clear, we were trying to give you this a couple weeks back, just because we know it's such a big document to try to hit you with the day before the school committee meeting. So we wanted you to kind of have a flavor of what was coming. But this has been like a working document, and what you have before you is kind of like the cleaned up, edited version that obviously would go in with the application. So, sorry, Diana.
No, it's okay. So I just wanted to, I don't know if this is more of a comment, and I apologize, this is coming very late in the game, but the only thing that stood out to me on reading this last time through, and I haven't seen anything that set off my alarm bells in prior readings, was in the section on the media center / library, which begins on page 43 of the document. There is, I don't think, a single mention of books or reading or library services in there. And it's a genuine question. Is the intention for us to do away with the traditional library function in the new building? Or is that just verbally not included here? But the idea is for the space to also include that in addition to the kind of more STEM technology functions?
Yeah, so it's certainly a good question. The MSBA has a certain allowable square footage for the library. You know, there will be books, there will be a traditional library, but in our program, part of that neighborhood concept that we're talking about is actually moving some of the allowable book space into the neighborhood, so actually moving it closer to the classrooms, so that, and as I'm thinking about this now, like our administrative team and even like some staff from the school that were looking at the different concepts, we've been able to go out to schools and actually see like recently constructed schools that have these different concepts. So, you know, what we're calling a neighborhood, we've actually seen, and we've seen like how it actually provides those breakout or intervention spaces really tied in with the classrooms. And we've seen how some of the library reading areas have been built into the actual grade level clusters so that the kids have easier access to literacy as opposed to just going to the library. But no, there would still be a library. What we're thinking about in the actual library design is making it more of a library media and actually integrating in that particular focus some of the Chelmsford telemedia activity, because we could actually see library and tech and even like TV tech and TV media relations being part of that space. So that is still being kind of vetted out. But yes, you're correct that there's still going to be a traditional library, traditional books, and a library program. But pieces of the allowable area are going to be moved closer to kids to just make it a little bit more accessible, if that helps in any way.
Thank you for clarifying. I don't think that is clear on reading the educational plan. In fact, one of my concerns is the goal here to get rid of our librarians and not have any of the traditional library services built in, or convert the librarian role to be purely a technology role. And maybe that is the case, but it doesn't sound like it from what you're sharing. That is how it read when I read the doc. So that was my only substantial concern. I did have a point of confusion, and it might still be a typo, or there may be something I'm not fully understanding in a different section as well. That would be on what is in the documents page 65. This is my only other thing, I promise. I'm not going to nitpick the whole document. When it's talking about the extended day program, it looks like both charts mention before school extended day site. Am I not understanding this fully? Is one before and after the change, or is one of these, should it be labeled after school?
Hang on, I just got to pull that up. I'm sorry, Diana, which page are you on?
60, I said 65. I think it's actually 64.
Okay.
All right, hang on, I'm just trying to get there. What, Linda?
Extended day.
For extended day.
It's this thing.
It could be just missing a label.
It mentioned both of the charts that show the 5 schools reflected, Parker and all the elementary schools.
Oh,
Were labeled before school, and I didn't know if that's because one is supposed to be a before and after, or if they are.
No, I to be honest with you, when you look at the two charts on that page, you see the grade boxes both say before school, but right above the second one, it actually says the after-school program. The second before is just supposed to say after. So I can just change that word.
Okay, that helps. I thought that the line, the after-school program serves approximately 70 students, was simply an afterthought, and then the chart below was supposed to show like the projection or something that would happen after the new school.
No, the second gray box, instead of saying before school, is supposed to say after school, because that was that's a typo. So I can certainly just amend that, because the 70 students, those numbers add up to 70.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to clarify because.
Yep, no, that's a good catch.
Anything in there? Thank you. Those are my only two kind of new ahas upon reading this.
Maria? Yeah.
Okay, on page 9, it says that we service students in preschool through age 22. We do? Okay. I thought it was 19, sorry.
Special ed.
Education.
Oh, for special ed, okay. And then on the number of students, which is page 14, grades K through 1 says 22 students. I thought our average overall was always 25. Is there,
Let me get to that page. Which page are you on
it's on
again?
page 14? Maybe now those sizes are smaller, is that what that's intended to say?
Yeah, I meant
No,
to look that
so-
up. What does the actual policy say? Is that what you're wondering?
Well, the policy is right above. So the policy actually says our class size guidelines are in grades K and 1, we should be targeting 22 students per classroom. And in grades 2 through actually 12, because everything else is 25, it would be 25. What that section is trying to say is at Parker right now, we do have 25 students per classroom. But technically, based on the size of the classrooms to the MSBA standard, we should only have 22. So it's basically just showing that the existing classrooms at Parker are undersized, and that a new school building for Parker would have to have appropriately sized classrooms for the instruction. That's what
Okay.
that's saying.
That's the intent of that? Okay. All right. I don't have any other comments. I think it's a good cleanup.
Yeah, and like I said, I passed along a lot of my thoughts already. You know, the one thing I did see in there that we could have emphasized more, but I don't think we really have to, is how unhandicap accessible the current building is. You know, especially if you had wheelchair users or anything like that, and getting around that building and trying to navigate from classroom to classroom, taking elevators outside, you know, it's just, it's.
It was mentioned in the sped section, but there are other parts of your report, of the 1,500-page
Yeah,
report.
okay.
That actually do document the existing conditions in the building. And I know handicap accessibility is flagged in that already. And so that is in the big program.
Okay, great. Something I'm.
It's important to point out, it's not in the building, it's outside the building.
Oh, I know.
Right,
I know, yeah.
I did read it. I know it's in here, though.
Yeah, I did,
Yes.
it does say
Special
about the
ed had
outside
it in
elevator.
that section.
I'm just saying, you know, just.
On a steep
from personal experience, I can tell you that you're not gonna be able to get around that building very
Well, soon it's going to be a lovely bridge.
It's going to be
A
lovely.
lovely bridge with water and rivers. It's going to be perfect.
All right, any other thoughts on the educational program? All right, if not, if Maria is
Oh, I
ready to
have a
go,
lovely
we'll take a
motion to
motion to.
Okay, so I move that we, based on the review of the preliminary design program, PDP, educational program document submitted to us on January 5th, 2026, approve AI3 Architects and Left Field to submit this document to the MSBA for review and consideration as part of the PDP submission and review process associated with the MSBA feasibility study for the Parker Middle School project.
Second.
Second. Okay, very nice, good motion. Okay. All right,
Very nice.
any further comments on the program? Okay, all right, so we'll take a vote. We'll go Diana,
Aye.
Susan,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Maria,
Aye.
aye. Okay, so 5-0 on that.
I will make that one edit and get you the final document tomorrow.
Okay, great. Okay, the other thing we just want to talk about tonight is just the different grade level configurations, so if you want to pick it up from there, would be great.
Yeah, and I'll just add that this educational program acts a bit like the Constitution. So for all of our design, options moving forward, we'll at least be able to fall back on that to make sure that they're embodying what was described.
Okay. But amendments can be made.
I don't know about that. Depending on the
That's what, living document works. That works.
Working document.
Here you go.
Yes. And so speaking of the options, as you recall, we do have 13 at this point, or 13, 14, that are on a range of just a simple code upgrade that meets the existing enrollment, 5 to 6, as well as addition renovation, new construction options on any of the 3 possible sites, and of course across a 5-6 enrollment option, 4 to 6 enrollment option, and 5 to 8 enrollment option. So those are continued to be studied and will be included in this preliminary design program. We do have a slide later in the presentation that shows the building committee's charge and the matrix that will be used next week to be able to reduce the number of options. But those options were presented at the community forum in December. We did end the community forum with a virtual poll asking what attendees' preferred grade level configuration for the Parker Middle School building project was. Those in attendance, we had 60 respondents, with resulted in the grade 4 to 6 option being a very clear winner of that poll. And so we also just wanted to use that as a jumping off point for the committee to be able to sort of continue the discussion on the grade level options.
And it was similar when we did the visioning session, similar vote when we did it with the visioning sessions, that most people seem to be favoring 4 to 6, maybe a little bit, more spread out, but the same type of thing. So, the school building committee has to make some decisions, but I think if we can kind of, as a committee, discuss what we think as far as grade alignments would be most beneficial, I think this would be a good time to start that conversation, and then the next meeting have a more formal vote.
Yeah, so I mean, we could certainly have the conversation to just kind of see where committee members are. And then no later one slides is the school building committee is actually going to be filling out a matrix that kind of scores all of scores all of the different options so that we can kind of see based on a point structure, are there particular options that are more attractive or less attractive to meet the goals of the project? So between the discussion tonight that we can then inform the building committee on, the school building committee's analysis of the project when we meet on the 15th, we can then come back on the 20th and say, you know what, yes, the school building committee also feels these options just really aren't super viable. We should really stop exploring them. We could then have the school committee vote to confirm and then try to work with Left Field and AI3 to have the MSBA kind of whittle those down in the options so that we, go from whatever it is, 13 down to hopefully, half a dozen as we kind of work through the winter and get into the May time period where we finally have the one.
So, I don't know, if you want to kind of go over the pluses and minuses of the 3 options,
I think we've all watched.
Yeah.
We're all ready.
I know, but I just for the.
We've been on TV 15 times for this. Can we just talk about it?
So,
I already know my answer.
Okay.
all right, so just to recap, 5, 6, right, is one of the options.
Yeah.
Doesn't do anything as far as helping us out with the elementary schools. Okay, will give us a new 5, 6 building. 4, 6 would allow us to have a new building and help us with the enrollment. 5, 8 we could maneuver around with the enrollments and use, say, McCarthy as an additional, but it's also going to be a really big building. So I just want to throw out there those are the big points. Well, I'll go around the room, and Susan, your thoughts on?
Grade 4, 6,
New?
all the way, 4, 5, 6, all the way.
Brand new building or the reno?
Brand new building.
There you go.
4, 5, 6.
We don't get to choose
All the
the
way.
brand new part, right? Yeah.
All right, whatever.
We get to at least advise on the grade alignments. So
But that's
you
where
seem
I
to
do-
favor that type of alignment you think would work best.
I do, and I think that there's a lot that, with the teachers' input, they can do to make sure it works for each of those grades. I'm confident.
I'll ask anyways. John, your thoughts?
Well, yeah, but I mean, I have opinions on it too. But so 4, 6, same thing. Just a couple key points. I don't need to drag it out. I like the kids getting back together. I really enjoy the fact that if we remove the school, if we do get to rebuild, we'll be able to restore those wetlands and make that a learning opportunity. I like that plan because it also includes the taking down of the old building along with that reconstruction, which is something we would have to pay for ourselves. And it solves the most problems for the longest amount of time. So I am supporting 4, 6.
Maria?
I agree with all that, and in addition to it, after tonight's presentation by the Parker folks, it really hit me that starting to have that one class, that one group at grade 4 is even better than what we've got now.
Yeah.
Because bringing them all under the same roof, starting to build the thought of a class as one group at grade 4, I think is great. And the way the kids are maturing today and needing to be in a building that provides them with greater opportunities and access to learn more, definitely. Moving it to that 4, 6 is it.
Diana?
New school.
Oh, sorry. Diana, thoughts?
Thanks. I feel I would also, I think, land on the 4 to 6. This is a semantic point perhaps, but I would encourage us to consider whether it's really a middle school at that point. It feels a little bit more like an intermediate school. I don't know if nomenclature changes are allowed as part of this process, but or if calling it a middle school is critical for it to move forward with the MSBA. And to me, it's not just semantic because I do feel that 4th grade is very young to take a fully middle school approach. I would want us to as part of the planning and design work, really think about a graduation within the same building from, a more elementary-like experience to a more middle school-like experience over the course of the 3 years that students would be there. That said, I like the idea of 3 grades in a school rather than 2. That feels really young to have students only in a school for 2 years like it currently is, and I think that 3rd year would help with the fostering of a sense of community. I think for most educators, both from a certification perspective and from a kind of a content understanding perspective, I think it feels like an appropriate set of grades to collaborate. And developmentally, I think for a lot of students, that feels like an appropriate group of students age-wise to have in the same building and to build a sense of whole school community. I think in a 5th through 8th grade building, there would be a natural sense of kind of maybe 2 schools in a building. There's a very different experience for 5th and 6th graders than a 7th and 8th grader. And I think the last point I would make is it's not a small consideration to think about alleviating the overcrowding at our elementary schools. And I think we've all talked about that. And while the 5th through 8th grade option may give us opportunities to alleviate the overcrowding, it would require our district to incur significant additional expenses to make that possible, because we would be looking at needing to completely redo McCarthy to make it appropriate as an elementary school, potentially without the state funding to support it. So for all of those reasons, I would lean toward a 4th through 6th. And I'm not going to weigh in on sites because I know that's not our role. But the one thing I would just advocate for would be throughout the planning process to really think about it not as a monolithic school design, but as a design that factored in some of the needs that might be different among 4th, 5th, and 6th grades as the students age.
Great, all right. Thank you. So I think you all know where I feel. Unless the way to present it, I mean, I think we all very much favor the 4 to 6 over the other 2 options. So I think what we need to do is just kind of pass along our strong support for a 4 to 6 type of configuration as a school building committee kind of goes through their little checklist here, keeping that kind of in the back of their head and see where it falls out. And then if we need to take a formal vote, we can do that at the next meeting.
Oh, I move that we strongly support the 4 through 6 option.
We can take a motion. Go ahead.
Second.
All right. All those in, sorry, we're gonna roll call. So I don't know if you heard Maria, what?
I
motion?
move that we strongly support the 4 through 6 option in a new building.
And John seconded, so Diana, your vote? Okay, Susan?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Maria?
Aye.
Myself, aye. Okay, so we'll pass it along to the building committee, and then if we need to take more formal motion,
Right.
formal vote, we'll do that in the next.
Yeah, and we can talk offline between next sessions too, but I mean, jump in now if you wanted to. I don't know process-wise with the MSBA, because they're still gonna make us go through, like, looking at these options. Is it showing the support for the preferred option at this point, or does the MSBA work better if we're actually voting to, say, remove an option? And, the building committee's rankings may actually, like, help us out to decide how to go about that. But whatever we have that conversation with, we can always come back to this committee on the 20th and have motions to either, again, more formally support this as the only option, or is it better to remove options? Like, we'll have to just strategize with that, with the building committee, and whatever's gonna kind of fly best with the MSBA. And the only thing I would just quickly to Diana's point, I wouldn't get hung up on the name at this point of the school, because like everything that we're doing, even like with our grids and things, we're trying to get middle school square footage eligibility for reimbursement. After the fact, if we decide to call it the upper elementary or intermediate school, whatever, like the name is not going to hold us off, but all of our documentation right now is for middle school. So I wouldn't go just changing the that name, but we'll have plenty of time to talk in the long term about what it truly should be called, just so that there's continuity.
Lower middle.
Lower middle, upper elementary, we can fight about that later.
Upper middle.
And I can see a
The
bunch of
name
teachers
is not,
talking
it's the
about that for a
programming that matters to me, what we call it.
I know.
I don't care.
Yeah. But it actually, the way it's now, it's kind of tied to the application.
Right.
I just wouldn't want to go,
Requirements.
right.
Yeah, and to be clear, I suspected that may be the case. I just want to make sure that we are proactive in thinking about the different developmental needs of fourth graders that would change potentially some aspects even of the design.
Good. All right, if we want to just finish up with what the next steps are and.
And one of the benefits of being able to have strong support for one of the enrollments or two of the enrollments at this phase two, and as we move into the preferred schematic report, is that at least allows the design team to be able to put more efforts and energy into figuring out a lot of the nuances of, how does fourth grade integrate versus 5, 6. So having that direction will just only, further propel any kind of project design moving forward. I do have the evaluation matrix on the screen. We talked about that a little bit. I just wanted to emphasize that this is also a requirement of the MSBA, so they are looking for this sort of qualitative exercise to help the building committee come to a determination on the 5 or 6 options that do move into the preferred schematic report phase. So we did work with the building committee to establish the criteria that's identified on the left-hand side, and then they will be filling this out and we'll be sharing the results at that building committee meeting next week.
Julie, if we could just add to manage expectations. Regardless of how the scoring falls next Thursday, from an MSBA policy standpoint, there are certain options that have to continue forward into the PSR just because of MSBA policy, regardless of how the scoring falls.
What, they make you keep on, the ad reno or something? Or?
The Reno and.
Yeah.
It has to be one ad reno per enrollment option, the code upgrade,
Okay.
one new option. So there's some minimum options that have to continue along.
Okay, great. All right. Any questions on that grid, by the way? Can't wait to fill it out.
Yeah, oh, good.
My eyes will fill in my head.
Are we still on track for Thursday getting the cost estimates?
We are, yes. We've actually received preliminary, and then we've gone back and forth with our estimator a little bit today just to start to refine those. But we'll be able to share those by the end of the week.
Great.
And that leads us to our last slide here with anticipated action items. So this just sort of pulls the calendar farther out from our first slide where we were looking specifically at this milestone for the next month, being that, just as we've mentioned, we're here today to get the approval, which we have and we're appreciative of. The end of this week, we'll be able to share cost estimate information with the building committee to inform their filling out of that evaluation matrix. We'll be back in Chelmsford on next Thursday for that building committee meeting. And then the 20th would be your next meeting. So, if it's appropriate for us to return for facilitating that grade level configuration conversation further, we could certainly do that. To be able to document it for that submission to the MSBA on January 22nd. Looking ahead into February, the MSBA has a review process for all of the submissions. So they'll take about 21 days or so to review the PDP report. They'll provide the design team with any comments that they have. We're responsible to respond to those within 14 days. So that's where those 2 blue circles in February are just denoting that there'll be some activity on our end with the MSBA, but at this point, it doesn't have much involvement with the school committee, no lift on your end, at least for the month of February, and then we'll likely sort of return closer to, midpoint or end of the next phase, just to fill you in on all the activities.
Where will we be at the end of February? Will we have cut down those choices a little bit?
Yes, ideally, we will have cut down those choices by the end of the building committee meeting next week.
Oh.
And then we will, by the end of February, have taken those, handful of options that remain and been able to progress them to more of an actual building layout state. So all of the options that we presented at the community forum and the previous building committee meeting were a lot more diagrammatic in their floor plans and their site plans. By the end of February, we'll be able to identify all of the spaces that are line items in that space summary will have a home in a building layout at that point.
Right. Any other questions on the building project?
I would just like to really thank you, Dennis, and I know Jay is also a member of the building committee, but a tremendous amount of work has been done. You've attended a lot of meetings and gotten to know
These guys do all the
quite
work.
a
We just go
bit.
to the.
But, just attending those 3 forums that we did, you could see like some things can be repetitive, but they're important to listen to and to really integrate. And when you're making these decisions, so I appreciate that. Thank you so much, and for doing all that work.
All right, anything else? Diana, anything else?
No, thank you. This was a helpful check-in.
Okay, great. All right, well, thank you again for coming up tonight.
Did we cover everything we needed for you guys?
Yeah.
Good.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I'll be right back.
At least it's not tomorrow night with bad weather. And Jay never cancels.
No, I know.
Definitely a delay, you know?
No, you'll be fine. Just get up a little early.
Definitely. Sanders will be out.
Oh, thank you so much. I'll take care of that.
Maybe the bathroom.
Do we want to wait or we want to keep going?
Oh, we can keep going. I just keep going.
I'll jump on it. Will you jump off? The fourth, thank you everyone for coming. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you so much.
Fourth item on the agenda tonight, Linda's going to walk us through the rationale and the reasons for some updates to the student handbooks that we previously had approved.
Okay, so while you're doing that, so in the memo, I put in, give you information that we're under review with DESE. These are cyclical reviews that happen usually every 3 years, and they have different names for each one of them. And interestingly enough, they actually changed the names on us in between, so we get a little confused. But some of them have, they have multiple focuses in them. However, this one is focusing more on civil rights, this particular review. So we meet with our representative from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education as we submit the evidence behind each of the areas that we have to show proof that the district is actually, doing these items and making sure that we're adhering to all the regulations and laws out there. So in one of our first set of meetings, they give us feedback saying, we can't find this, or we need more information on this. So one of the things that did come up was some missing language within our handbooks. Not that the handbooks didn't address these items, they just wanted us to update the items. So we did send the handbooks, the family handbooks, back to our attorneys to review and make sure that we had the updated language. So there was 4 areas that I had noted in the memo. And the first one was under due process. This is basically our student discipline language that we have, and it's basically making sure that we clarified the language to ensure that we're using the regulations from Massachusetts for student discipline, including our procedural safeguards, notifications, and appeal rights for students and families. The second area that was noted in there was the pride and bullying prevention intervention, which I know that you have the document, and that's one of our agenda items. So what is in the handbook is a truncated version of the actual larger bullying plan, and I will update any links that are in the handbook. So if you notice that it brought you to nowhere or to a link that didn't have the right information, that will be updated after tonight. So that is just clarifying our reporting procedures, response protocols, and protections for students in protected classes, and any anti-bullying laws. The third section was Section 504 Rehabilitation Act, and that was just clarifying the obligations regarding identification and evaluation, accommodations, and procedural safeguards and parental rights for students under this section. And the fourth one was transgender and gender nonconforming students. That had updated language that reflected DESE's guidance and state law. So DESE has put out guidance around this area. And it also had the information on gender identity, privacy, access to facilities, and participation in school programs. So all of this is just that updated. Nothing else was changed in the handbook. I know that the formatting is a little bit off for like the table of contents, but I fix that after you guys have approved everything and we accept all the changes.
Anybody have any questions on the changes?
You said the lawyer approved them?
Yeah, this is all I did not write these things. The attorney wrote this.
Yeah, as long as you, yeah. I mean, that's the real gold standard for me.
Is the due process section new, or is it because on the other section, it at least said deleted, could see where, this one doesn't say deleted, that's why I didn't
No,
know.
so due process was always there. It's
Okay.
just the updated language within due process.
Okay.
So it's not a new title.
Okay.
It's the exact title that we had, just with the
And
updated.
this is the handbook, it's not the policy.
It's the handbook, but the handbook has actually the law and the policies and procedures within it.
All right, that makes sense.
And probably what you may have seen, once we delete a big section,
Mm.
it starts in that comment section where it's pulled out, it gets really small. You have to actually hit the ellipsis to make it bigger, but you wouldn't be able to do that on the PDF. I can only do that on the larger.
If I knew what an ellipsis was, I would do that.
Yes, that's the three dot, dot, dot.
Dot, dot,
Some
dot.
way people like to call that the dot, dot, dot.
the dot, 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 dot.
Dramatic way to end a
ellipsis.
sentence.
All right,
Science.
any other questions on these changes? Diana, do you have anything?
Not on this document.
Okay. Anybody else see anything in looking through this?
Can I just want to make a comment for people who might be listening. So I know sometimes you hear that people want a lot more detail in these in terms of actual procedures and timelines, for people to understand that what's in a policy is more the legalese, but the schools have, I just want people out there to know that the schools have a lot more specific procedures to follow, so that people don't think we're negligent in having that kind of information. It's just that the documents are serve two different purposes. I just want people to be aware of that, because sometimes I hear from people that it's not telling me exactly what's going to happen and who's going to do what when. Well, that's not what this document's for. So I just want to say that.
Right. Any other comments on this changes? Right, if not, I'll take a motion.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the revised 2025-2026 student handbook as presented, inclusive of recommended language revisions resulting from the DESI Integrated Monitoring Review Group B process, effective immediately.
Second.
Is that a second, John?
Yes, that was a dramatic second. Second.
Okay.
Sorry.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Right, so
Sounds
Diane,
like that second had an ellipsis, John.
Thank you. See, she gets it.
all right. We'll take a vote. Diana?
Aye.
Susan?
Aye?
John?
Aye.
Maria?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Okay, great. I'll make all the changes. I'll update any links. I'll have it retranslated as well, and we'll put it up on the website.
Okay, great. Do we notify parents or anything of the changes? or-
We can notify them, but typically, people don't go into the handbook.
I know, I didn't know if there was.
An issue or a question.
Notification was necessary or
Yeah,
something.
notification isn't necessary. We just had to actually put that in there.
Okay, great. All right, next
Number
is kindergarten.
5, Joanna's going to share our kindergarten registration information with us.
Thank you. If your student is going to be in kindergarten next September, we are having 2 big registrations in January. One is January 27th from 9 to 6, and the second is January 28th from 9 to 6 here in this room. And parents can go and book their 15-minute appointment now, and they'll meet with their school clerk at their elementary school, and then Jane McDonald, our central registrar, will be here too, to start the process for kindergarten registration.
Any questions on that?
It's unbelievable that it's that time again.
I know we talked about that these kids that are gonna enroll in kindergarten, maybe the kids
It
that.
could be the 4th grade.
Yes.
Could be the 4th grade, so are we gonna give them like any little pamphlets out, information, like?
Yes, who was the, AI3, I think, was actually putting a flyer together, weren't they?
Okay.
Yes,
Are they? Wonderful.
I didn't get a chance to
That's
ask
great.
Julie, but I will.
Yeah, no, they had known that, because it's not till the end of January, but they are gonna have a little flyer with a QR code and some kind of like talk about how this would potentially be the first class of 4th graders that would open the building if we opened in 3031.
That's good,
Doing
that's
it for a
exciting.
reason.
I know I talk to it when I go to the CHIPS PTO meetings. I talk to them about,
Yeah.
especially about giving their input, that
Well,
your
and
kids may be the kids.
Once they're enrolled too, like we'll have all their contact info, so they'll start being able to get our communications
Yeah,
through Connected
yeah.
and everything, so, yeah, it'll be good.
Imagine that.
I know.
It could be the first students in the building.
It's kind of really neat.
Kind of neat.
It's exciting.
All right, what's next?
Next is, we have, every 2 years, this is the, I just listed as a public comment opportunity on our Chelmsford Public Schools Bullying Prevention and Intervention Plan. This also stems from that review that Linda was mentioning earlier. Every 2 years, all school districts just have to update their current bullying plan. So it was time for us to be updated. Once it's updated, obviously it gets approved. It gets updated on the website, and we have that. And it's something we have to submit for the review that Linda was mentioning. So this is actually, and John had asked the question earlier, so this is just our current plan. We sent to the attorneys. The attorneys sent it back to us with any of the current changes to language and whatnot. And in accordance with the DESI regulation, you just need to have a public comment period, so if someone wanted to comment on it, they could. The way to do that is to have it just be posted on a school committee agenda. So we're basically complying with the regulation by having it on the agenda, and we'll update it to the website tomorrow. It'll be included with the packet of information that we submit to DESI for that review.
Okay. And we did receive an email, but we received it late, so, we're not gonna read through it and thing, but I did forward it to everybody, just some comments on.
Yep.
on,
I got it late too, but I did open and read it.
Yeah.
I know the individual, and I'm
Yep.
happy to respond to
Okay,
them.
great.
And follow up with them.
But other than that, I don't think we heard from anybody, so.
No, I did send actually, anyone who has students in the district, I did send a communication out on Friday, just as like a notice to folks so that they would have it. I hadn't heard from anyone until that email came along, so, but I'll personally follow up with them tomorrow.
So we don't have to, I think we already pretty much approved it with the handbook, or?
Yeah, you don't technically approve the bullying plan. It's just an administrative plan that we have to have.
Anti-bullying.
Yeah, I'm sorry, well, it's bullying prevention.
Bullying, yeah. Good point.
We had anti-bullying too, but it was usually, anyway.
Yeah, so, but no, there's no, if you wanted to vote to just, I guess, accept the communication or place it on file,
No, I
but
just didn't know.
there's no actual action, so we've covered ourselves.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Number 7 is just Valley Collaborative. This is just a communication. They have to submit their annual report, so you have their annual report from 2025, and they completed their fiscal audit for 25. It was another clean audit, and that is shared with each of the member districts. So Chelmsford being a member district, we have to list that on one of our agendas and give you that communication. So this would just be a motion to accept the communication and place it on file.
Okay. Now, they have a surplus. Again, do we know how much of that's coming back to us?
We do, and we actually, the surplus for last year, we do know the number. Do you have it off the top of your head?
It's around 194,000.
I think it was about $1 million, if I remember correctly, that they were returning to all member districts.
Okay.
And the way we figure out our portion of it is they take a look at all of the tuitions last year that the different districts paid. And they just figure out what percentage of the district's pay was coming from Chelmsford, and then we get our reimbursement. So we have a board meeting on Thursday to approve next year's budget. We'll get a better sense of what the return for fiscal '26 would be, and that's another number I have to plug into our budget for next year.
Okay, yeah.
So I'll have a much better sense on Thursday. They're trending to be turning at least $1 million, so I think we'll be in at least the same situation as last year. I'm hoping to eke out a little bit more.
Okay, great. All right, any other questions on the audit report? Okay, so.
I just wanted to share that I think it's always wonderful and it's a sign of good governance to see that they are having another no findings audit. And I really appreciate the detail of this report. And each year it reminds me of the value of being a part of this collaborative.
All right, so we'll take a motion to accept.
I move to accept the FY25 Valley Collaborative Annual Report and the FY25 Valley Collaborative Audit Report as presented.
Second.
Okay. All right, any further questions? Okay, Diana?
Aye.
Susan?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Maria?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, and I think that's it.
That's all I had for tonight.
Okay, so any liaison reports? We'll start with John.
No.
All right. Maria?
I didn't have any meetings.
Okay, Susan?
Just some real quick announcements. I know on the early release day coming up, Harrington School is having a dine to donate. Unfortunately, I forget what the place is. That would be important to know, but check with your PTO.
Eat
to find
somewhere.
out. Check with your PTO to find out. I know they're doing one that early release day. And two things just to report about CHIPS. One is they'd been trying for a really long time to bring some nice music enrichment in, and they were able to get the Parker Middle School sixth grade chorus to go over to Chips to do songs from their holiday concert for the preschool kids, and they turned it into a big fancy day. So the kids got all dressed up and they made programs, and I know that the staff and the PTO were just really glad they were able to make that happen, because they really, really enjoyed the opportunity and having the sixth graders come over there and do that for them. So that was great. I'm glad it finally came together. I know they've been trying for a while. And just an announcement that Chips is doing their annual sock drive. It's very, very popular. The kids get very excited. They bring in new pairs of socks, any size, and they don't make the donations to the Wish Project. But the kids just really get it because they can understand that everybody needs socks. So the kids get really involved in it. So if your student goes to Chip's program, please send them in with some socks if you're able by January 30th.
Great. All right, Diana, any liaison reports?
Yes, last night I attended the South Row PTO meeting, and I can share, speaking of Wish Project, that they had a very successful drive for toiletry products and cosmetics for the Wish Project that was so big they had to, get more vehicles to accommodate everything being donated. So that was really great. As always, the Southborough PTO is very busy. They had a huge, like several of the schools did, a huge cookie event for staff in December that was very appreciated and really successful. Lots of fun family events are coming up, including a crafternoon with tiny tile mosaics, some free movie nights, and more. So very busy. So I think there's a Roller Kingdom family night out on the 16th of February that they're planning. So really just a lot to keep the community active. They also asked me to share out what Dr. Hirsch shared at the beginning about the big event next Tuesday, 1/13 in the evening, 7 to 8 p.m. at Center School, jointly funded by a few different PTOs and really aimed at all elementary and middle school families with speaker Sam Drazen. So hoping a lot of people can make it. Unfortunately, it's the same night as the middle school band concert. So I won't personally be there, but it sounds like a wonderful event.
Thank you. All right, anybody have any new items?
I do. This is just something I've been thinking about, and I've mentioned it before. I've been thinking about it for probably going on a year, but I want to make just a formal request to get something on the agenda to hear any plans about reviewing our literacy curriculum. I've heard from lots of parents. I've heard from teachers. We had teachers come talk to us about their dissatisfaction with Fountas and Pinnell. We know the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is writing a law about science and reading evidence-based programs. We know that DESE doesn't really support Fountas and Pinnell. So I'm just not really comfortable leaving it and waiting until we hit a formal review cycle. I'd like to just start getting some information about it, getting a little ahead of what the plans might be, what kind of things the team might be considering about a different approach. So I'd just like to get something on the agenda to hear about it.
Right.
I strongly support that as well.
Great.
I would too.
All right, I just had a couple things. One is, I know we had an email around about AI workshops. We come to any conclusions with that, or?
No, differing, all good, but like differing opinions from folks. I think everyone wants to move forward and have the next set of trainings and to develop the protocols of the guidelines, so that's good. A couple members thought the in-person might be better. A couple members thought the remote sessions might be better. So I think we should just talk about like the pros and cons and decide. Everyone wants to do it, which is good. But the company had proposed if they were to do it on site, because physically there's travel, we'd probably look to see like when they were physically in the area and try to piggyback off something that they're doing with another district, and that could be an in-person event. If we ended up doing the remote, then obviously we could have a little bit more flexibility. They were recommending like 2 hour-and-a-half long sessions remote as opposed to 1 3-hour session in person. honestly, you guys just have to decide what you would prefer, and we can work with them to try to secure some dates.
All right.
But everyone wanted to do it, which is good.
Yeah. I mean, I know my preference was in person, and just sit down together, face to face, have the time to talk about it. All at one time versus stretching out over several meetings, and you kind of forget what you did. First one, so I don't know, other people's thoughts?
Yeah, I agree totally. I prefer the in-person. I feel like I get a lot more out of it, but I also recognize that as a retired person, I have the flexibility, and if someone has a work schedule, they may not be able to devote that much time. So I understand that, but personally, I prefer the in-person.
John?
I definitely prefer in person in theory. I also, however, worry about a 3-hour session at the end of a long day being a chance for us all to truly, authentically, deeply engage for 3 hours. That concerns me a little bit. I don't think my preference would typically be remote for something like this, but on the other hand, the expense to fly out consultants and all of the pieces that would be involved in that feel like obviously it's either one or the other of these choices. So I don't feel it's not make or break for me, but I am concerned about losing steam in a 3-hour meeting that would begin in the evening.
John, your thoughts?
That's tough. I prefer in person for training. That's kind of my thing. But again, it's really what's out there and available, right? So I would prefer to do things face to face. I think a 3-hour meeting, if you have good instructors, is pretty good. But I also understand the. I guess I don't have a preference. I mean, whatever. I'm going to show up for whatever you tell me to show up for. So. But I definitely feel like there is something to be said about face to face and talking to people and being able to work together.
Okay, I'm gonna go on the side of the face-to-face, although I have the same concern about 3 hours at the end of a day about AI. So, but I will be very human in my 3-hour session face-to-face.
You can pair with me. We'll pair together.
We'll pair together.
So it seems like we're leaning towards the face-to-face, if you wanna, maybe, in person. Maybe reach out and just see, what's available.
Right.
If there's a huge cost difference or not, or, that type of
Yeah,
thing.
that's true.
The cost difference was nominal for the one in person as opposed to 2 online. The other thing we could think about, again, if we had enough notice and we can find out from them what their availability is, we could always start at 5 instead of 6, so it's not quite as late if people's schedules work.
Yeah.
And we could even just get dinner in or something like that and have it be like have a bite to eat and do the training at
Maybe
the same
taco bar or
time.
something.
A taco bar?
I'm on, you know what?
I've wanted a taco
Going
bar.
to Taco
for one of
Bell?
these
A
sessions.
taco bar. I've heard
Oh,
nothing.
Taco Bar.
Taco bar.
I thought you said Taco Bell, and I was all in on Taco
It's
Bell.
a joke from the visiting session.
It's a
I don't know
joke.
if we're serious or not, but I would actually prefer a 6 to a 5, as hard as it is to do 3 hours at the end of the day, regardless. Just for my personal availability, being able to immediately leave work and have no turnaround time and immediately come to a meeting might be preventative for me being there on time.
Okay.
Must be a taco bar.
I was gonna recommend that if the content is appropriate, we invite our student reps to also participate.
Oh, absolutely.
They might be really interested.
Free pizza or Taco Bell.
No, you can't wait to.
A Taco Bell.
That's good. I think they have a lot of insights about
I
it.
am in favor of food being included, though. That might
And the food part's good.
for me.
All right, well,
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Cool extra credit.
we'll get some dates circulated. We'll send out a little poll to you, and we'll get something on the books for this winter.
All right, my only other thing before we go, have you had discussions with the town manager where we look at budget-wise?
Yeah, just very, we actually spoke yesterday just for update on some different things, because I was curious after we had our last meeting, remember the scheduling question about the budget? So, no, Paul and I had a good talk. We're still both kind of refining our numbers. This week and next week, we get a little bit of clarity on January 15th is the date for us, where staff have to let us know if they're going to rescind their retirement or not retire. I can go in and build in some cost savings if they do retire, things along those lines. So these next 2 weeks, our budget moves a little bit. Paul's does the same. I had told him that we were thinking about doing our recommendation on Tuesday, the 3rd, and he said based on the select board schedule, he would likely be doing his meeting, I think they're off schedule now, on Monday, the 9th. So that would actually work out fine, because the question was getting our budget in before his. And so that'll work out fine. So we're on the same page with regard to that. We're both trying to fine tune our numbers a little bit. We had some little bit of positive news, I think, on maybe some of our sped tuitions going down a little bit, potentially a little circuit breaker going up, so that's a positive offset. But I am curious to see on the retirement piece what funding might be helped there. So overall, we're in decent shape pulling it together. But the schedule I presented is going to work.
Great, perfect. I guess my question was to him, I know they voted at town meeting to kind of change the scheduling of the budget.
Yeah.
But it fits in fine. I just want to make sure that.
No, it fits in fine, and Paul was good with it too.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
that was fine.
All right, if there are no other new items, we don't have everybody here for public comment, so I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second?
Okay. All right, Diana,
Aye.
Susan,
Aye.
John.
Aye.
Maria.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, 5-0. All right, thank you all.